Rising MAGA star calls Jasmine Crockett out. Folks, Crockett has been all the rage lately, as I'm sure you know. Why? I can't tell you. Honestly, she's not that intelligent and a little bit mouthy, and I suppose that's why. People like the entertainment. I don't know. I find her to be kind of boring, but also funny sometimes, so it is what it is. With all that being said, we are going to get right into it. But first, do me a big favor, like our video and share it around. That way we can keep bringing you guys this great, hard-hitting content. As always, Patriots, I am your host, Darian, and this is Resist the Mainstream.
And that we didn't do the DC stuff. And so now to get caught up in this and do harm to the constituents that trust us. You talk about the hearings that took place. There were Republicans that said at the end of the day, I may not agree with the Democrats, but I agree with fairness. So I am here to testify against this process because it's not fair. I'm just asking for the Texas legislature to do what the Texas legislature has always done, which is to be Texas and not be DC.
Thank you.
What?
Representative Pierson, you recognize the question of the panel.
Thank you, Chairman. My question is for Congresswoman Crockett. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your thoughts on the map. I hear you, I understand. But you did mention something in your testimony that I think is worth drawing out a little bit on. You mentioned previously the two Anglo seats from before.
Yes.
Who are currently in those seats?
One of them is Lloyd Doggett and the other one is Wesley Hunt.
And does that mean one is a Democrat seat and one is a Republican seat?
Correct.
Okay. So the Democrat seat elected a white man.
Yes.
And the Republican seat elected a black man.
Yes.
Okay. And then so today you're concerned about the new Anglo seats, and the assumption that you're making is that it's going to lead to more Anglo representation.
It is.
Okay.
Because so to be clear, because I may have not been clear, these seats are not about who gets elected. They're about who gets to choose who is elected. And so, my district, while it is an African-American opportunity seat, it is an opportunity for African-Americans to choose their representation. But they don't have to elect a black person. We have a similar seat.
I'll give an example. According to some surveys, only 8% of black people think that America has given them the same rights as whites. Yes, you heard that right. 8%. Okay, that's nothing. And this is according to Pew Research Polling. Okay, it's not some right-wing source that's trying to gin up a racial narrative for their convenience. No, that's like 92% of black people literally believe they're not equal to whites, under the law. Yeah, they're going to vote for white people, sure. Yeah, they're not going to vote in a tribal manner at all. Let's just be honest about these things, okay? And people are going to turn around and say, "Oh, you're so hateful." There's no hatefulness here, okay? I love everybody. I'm a Christian. I believe everybody's a child of God. That's that, all right? We're just looking at things how they are.
Seat in Memphis, Tennessee, that historically was always represented by the Ford family. Harold Ford Sr. and Harold Ford Jr. had it, but now it is a white man that is representing that black seat. So it's not about the faces of the seats. It's about who gets to choose who's in the seat. And that doesn't mean that they're going to choose their own race. As you see, two Anglo majority seats, one went for a white candidate, one went for a black candidate. It's not about us as candidates. It's about the people that get to do the choosing.
Well, I would argue that based on the testimony that we've heard over the last week or so, it's both. We're hearing racism all over the place. We're hearing, people want to choose people who look like them, which apparently has been happening. And I just wanted to make it clear that, something that has not been said yet is that there are minority Republicans. I mean, there is a black and Hispanic Republican on the dais. And so I just don't think it's fair to just assume that the Anglo districts are going to lead to more Anglo representation.
And to her point, whites actually have a lower in-group preference than any other skin color in America, by far. So, totally true.
But those were your words, so I'm just...
Again, I apologize if that is how it was interpreted, but my clarification is that when we're talking about the law and the Voting Rights Act, it's never been based upon who it is that gets elected. It's based upon who it is that gets to choose who is elected. And unfortunately, adding 2 more Anglo seats in a state that added, if we're going on the census that came out in 2021, there were only 180,000 new Anglos to this state. So the idea that we would take the bodies of Black, brown, and Asian, 95% of what allowed this state to garner 2 new seats, and basically use their bodies for the benefit of making sure that a shrinking majority continue to hold on to power is wild. Because when we look at the numbers, this is just to clarify. In the last 3 censuses, in 2000, Anglos were 52.43% of the state of Texas. In 2010, Anglos were 45.33% of the state of Texas. In 2020, Anglos ended up being found to be 39.75%. At the same time that Anglo percentages were going down, somehow their seats and their ability to elect more representation to DC goes up at the same time.
She says it's not about race, but then constantly complains about, oh, too many Anglo seats. They have too much power. Also, she's telling us basically that here's the problem. White people still have some political power despite their, no longer being a majority, essentially, and their share in the population shrinking. Oh, that's a problem. I think I see things the opposite of Crockett. All right, this is a country, we're founded on Christianity. It was people of European origin who founded this country. It's just the fact. And, Black people are they're original people as well, given, they got brought in often for, unfortunately, slavery and things like that. Frankly, those groups should be the ones wielding political power, okay? Native-born Americans, and especially Americans who are contributing to society. So, I don't see an issue with that at all. Sorry, Jasmine.
The Latinos back in 2000, 31.99% of the state. Then it went to 37.62 in 2010, and then it went to 39.26 in 2020. Yet somehow they still don't have the ability to elect representatives of their choice, whoever they elect. It may be, we can talk about Lloyd Doggett. Lloyd Doggett, for the longest, was representing a seat. There was a Latino opportunity seat. They chose Lloyd Doggett. That's fine. We just want people of color to be able to choose their representation so that we can comply with the Voting Rights Act as well as the 15th Amendment of the Constitution. That is it. And who they decide to elect is who they decide to elect. And in addition to this state being in trouble in previous court litigation, they have found that when this state legislature has said, oh, well, we'll add these minorities over here. Well, again, when you start shifting people around, they found historically, I want to say it was around the 2010 redistricting, that what Texas did is they decided to add basically low propensity Latinos in one of the districts. So that, again, that district would not be Latinos being able to elect their representation.
Well, Jasmine, to quote you, who they going to elect is who's they's going to elect. You ever notice how she talks so ghetto on purpose? And I know it's on purpose, by the way, because if you pay attention to Crockett, you'll see that she actually manages to speak intelligently, sometimes in select scenarios. Okay, that's a little bit overgenerous. She doesn't speak intelligently, but she speaks at least somewhat coherently, while spouting off her ridiculous leftist opinions.
They took people that they knew had a low propensity to show up.
And so on that note, with these new lines, political performance was taken in consideration.
That is what we've heard from the bill author, yes.
And in previous hearings, I mentioned specifically that in the state of Texas, President Trump did win a majority of the Hispanic voters in the state. And
nice.
Just to broaden that even further, those are the numbers. President Trump did win the majority of the Hispanic votes in the state. In fact, he flipped, I believe it was 10 counties in the state. So
wow.
Don't you think that is reflective of this map, this proposed map, that the minorities who are here with the new majority minority districts that have been created, it is reflective?
No, Representative, I don't. Again,
okay.
It's just based upon, this is just pure math. Like, I'm not trying to pick who is going to vote for who, because as it was stated earlier, the idea that anybody is a monolith is wild anyway, right? Because first of all, Latinos down at the border, they are not the same as Latinos, say, in the DFW or in Harris County. Like,
then why do you care about Anglo Seats? It talks out of both sides of her mouth. It's incredible.
So I don't want to pretend as if any minority group is a monolith, which is one of the reasons that we talk about communities of common interest, because we work together and we function together and we do things a little differently. I mean, I'm sure there are even black folk in Houston that will argue that they're not the same as Dallas black people, right? So,
they not the same as Dallas black people, right? What?
Ongoing thing, but nevertheless, what I will say is that is why you shouldn't just be grabbing up people from wherever and saying, oh, well, they all the same race. It is bigger than that. It is trying to make sure, and you brought up compactness earlier. And so compactness is one of those things that you consider as well, because again, it is different. When you look at a state the size of Texas, you know how many states you can fit in our state, right? So thinking about it in that way, a reflective map would look like the fact that only 39% of this state is Anglo. So how in the heck do we have 60% of the seats that go to DC are going to be decided by Anglos? That's the math that doesn't work. We need to flip the numbers so that people of color, no matter who they vote for, if they decide they're voting for Trump, and you're right, because of the 13 democratically elected seats in the state of Texas, one of those seats was a majority white seat. That's it. Everybody else, it was people of color that sent us to DC. But when we look at the Republicans, of the 25 seats, 23 of those seats are Anglo majority seats.
Well, Jasmine, no minority group is a monolith. And, well, whites are pretty much becoming a minority in Texas. So you're not allowed to get upset. Sorry.
2 of those seats, Latinos are the ones that chose, and I don't have a beef with that. Like, that's who they elected, and that is perfectly fine. So they have 2 Anglo seats that are Republican. 2 Latino opportunity seats that elected Republicans. That is perfectly fine. People vote for who they vote for, but don't divide our communities and dilute our voices. And that's why we're here, because we feel like we're being diluted, because we're packing black folk, or the bill author mentioned that there's some district that went up to over 70-something% Latino. That is packing. You don't need almost 80% Latinos for that district to perform as a Latino opportunity seat.
And so you don't agree with the new minority Hispanic seats? Because
I don't agree with this map.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Ugh. I don't know about you guys, but I lost IQ listening to that screed by Crockett. Just awful. Can't wait to be done with her. You know, I really don't want to see her again, but it is what it is. You know, people call for it, we deliver. So with that being said, everybody, thank you for tuning in. We truly appreciate it. As always, make sure you comment below. Let us know what you liked about the video, what kind of stuff you want to see in the future. And if you have not already, hit that subscribe button down below. And to those who have subscribed, thank you so much. We appreciate it. See you later, Patriots. God bless.